Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Yoji. Welcome to another tier list video where I will rank all the Path of Exile bosses from very easy to pretty easy, not easy, hard, and very hard. But if you want to make me very hard, subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Path of Exile videos. And for those of you wondering why there's so much tier list content coming, as you may know, I started a new job, IRL, and I'm focusing hard on that, so I'm pushing out some content to keep you entertained while still like not doing anything that takes incredible amounts of work, and this really doesn't, but I still think it's pretty damn entertaining. So first of all, we got Hasmin. I think Hasmin is, from the Conqueror side of things, one of the easier ones. He's actually, I would say, it's pretty easy because I mean, if you go into his like bait and switch and like you let him kite you, but if you just wait out his kiting phase, if you're melee, or if you just like be patient a bit, tiny bit, even with low DPS, he's really not that difficult. And then once you have Chaos Res, he doesn't even hit very hard overall. I think he's pretty easy, but you have to kind of be patient and be mindful about the fight. But if you actually try, he's pretty easy. He might even be very easy. He's pretty freaking easy. Like, I think he's easy. Next I got Uber Azubi. I don't have normal Azubi, I only have Uber Azubi because I'm trying to only put in the real boss content, like the harder boss content. I think Uber Azubi is one of the hardest bosses in the game, for me personally. I'm not very good at Azubi, and unless you like trivialize the content, which is like one shot each phase, I think Uber Azubi is pretty difficult. You have to like actually play well, dodge the mechanics. But yeah, kind of a side note, yeah, if you one shot any of these bosses, they're not very hard. I'm not going from the one-shot perspective, that makes no sense. I'm going from the perspective of you're actually having to do the fight, because you're playing, I don't know, SSF and you're not there damage-wise yet, or you're playing a lane build, I don't know. Okay, I think all is pretty hard. I think it might actually also be very hard. I think one of the things that makes him very hard is because he's, you don't really get to practice him all that often. On the other hand, you have infinite tries as long as you have soul fight. I'd say he's probably like in the hard territory. I found the fight pretty intuitive, but he can, depending on the mods you get on him, he can be like extremely hard, or you can actually be probably also be not easy. But yeah, I'd say hard is pretty fair. Baran, I think Baran is actually pretty hard. The zoning of the mana squares can really screw you over, and unless you like nuke him down really fast, his auto attack pattern is a bit annoying. I think maybe it's just very not easy. But if you like screw up one of his like AoE overlap attacks, you just can one-shot you. Katarina, I think the Katarina fight is a bit of a weird one. She can really throw you for a loop with her like teleport slams and stuff. And also if you like miss the weirdly looking, like hard to see skeletons on the ground and like don't pop them, they can like just catch you off guard. So I think just by the whole, I don't know, by the whole, how do you say this? Like by the virtue of her shit visibility of skills, I think she's pretty damn hard. Actually, see, she's not that. Maybe she's like somewhere here to here. Like it's hard to fail the fight, like 6 portals, but it's actually not that hard to die a few times, and that's probably the most that I get out of these. So I'd say she's probably very hard. All right, got Chayula. I think Chayula these days, if you don't have like dumpster chaos res, is actually pretty easy. But I think she's harder than Hasmin. Maybe you just do this actually. I think Hasmin might be the easiest of the conquerors. But yeah, I'm not 100% on this, but he might actually be the easiest. Alright, we got Chimera. Chimera, like all the Guardians, I just kept them in there for like old time's sake, but I would say there's a good argument that they are not very updated and not part of the actual endgame anymore. But I kept them in anyways because, yeah, deal with it. I think Chimera is not easy. You need to have like decent defenses. Like, Chimera can really chunk you, but also, I think I've just done the fight so much. But I think Chimera is easier than Baran. So I would say, I'd say she's definitely in between here, or it. Cortex. I think Cortex is one of the hardest fights in the game for me personally. I think Cortex probably is somewhere around here or here. If you have like really crappy DPS, which I tend to have on some of my tankier builds, it can be really difficult to actually like sustainedly stay in the fight, right? That can be pretty difficult. So I would say it's probably one of the harder fights in the game. Maybe put it like here. Maybe Katarina is also I'm kind of on the fence, but Uber Zero is definitely freaking hard for me. But Katarina, I think for the shit visibility, she still deserves this. I think Cortex is still pretty good there. And the Drox, I would say Drox feels easier than Baran to me, but not by much. It's like somewhere here. I think Drox is a bit harder. Drox can really catch you off guard, also with the like fists that come like in and go out. If you like miss those, or if you like misposition a bit, also if you get like flag double flag slam with a flag overlap, he can really like catch you off guard with stuff like this. So I think that's probably like this. I think the Maven fight is probably also pretty tricky, but it's definitely not easy. It's definitely not down here. I think the Maven fight might be, for me, might be somewhere here, but like simply because I'm really bad at the freaking memory game. And the fight requires you to really manage the balls well. If you like mess up the fight early, you can get some really sticky situations with the ground degen management. That alone. Also, you can randomly get really hard bosses. Some like if you get really easy bosses, the fight kind of like plummets down here. But you can get really bad combinations. Alright, we got the Feared, I think this is, or the Formed. This is Cortex. This is the Feared. I mean, the Feared is freaking damn hard, especially if you alk the map and you really try to make it difficult. It is ridiculous. So the Feared is Uber Ziri, Uber Elder, and Cortex, and what else? Shayula in one fight. I think that's pretty difficult. You need to have like really good defenses, really good positioning, like multiple things like Elder Ring on top of Shaper Slam on top of Ziri, Stormcall, and Elder Ring can force you to either log or die in softcore and or hardcore. So yeah, that's pretty good. The Forgotten, I think the Forgotten might also actually be up here. The Forgotten is all the memory bosses, so all the synthesis bosses that are not Cortex in one fight. And there are two in particular that are really freaking difficult. There's the one guy that teleports, like shoots black balls that teleport you in and then he slams you. He is crazy, and like a lightning guy, he does crazy damage. So I think this might actually also be one of the hardest fights in the game. Might be on par with the Feared. The Formed, I think the Formed is probably somewhere here. The combination of all the Guardians can actually like throw you for a loop, and especially if you don't kill Minotaur fast enough, he can really pollute the whole area with the falling rock ground from his slam. So that can be pretty tricky. But yeah, I don't think it's on par with Maven or Cortex for me personally. But it's not an easy fight, especially considering how easy some of these are. We got what's his face? Minotaur. I think Minotaur is probably the hardest of the Guardians. The one that, unless you build like crazy fizz mitigation, can always like screw you over still. Because all his attacks still are meaningful. Like his swings, okay, you can usually out-sustain them with like either Liege or Regen. But his slams, like the falling rocks and stuff, you have to oftentimes still actually get out of that. And the golems can hit you if you run into and get slowed and run into the lightning beams. And then he can like burrow on you. There are some sticky situations. So he might be like the hardest of these ones. Maybe move down Chimera a bit. Phoenix, I think, is the easiest of the old Shaper Guardians. Always felt he was pretty easy. He only has like 2 actual attacks, unlike the Phoenixes. He has a bit of a ticking time bomb mechanic, but he mostly has like the whirling slam, the whirling dash attack, and the explosion. That's like all. It's like a pretty simple fight. So it's a pretty well designed fight for the simplicity. We got the Hidden, which is all the breach bosses except Chayula. That one's actually pretty difficult. Unless you're like super crazy dodge or block capped. Toll with a barrage can really screw you over. Only Toll can really easily get you with the spikes all over the arena, and he can like blow them up for like insane explosions. He basically like plays like Earth Shatter on you, where he just spikes it up and like blows them all up. So yeah, I think the Hidden is actually pretty much up there with like the Maven and stuff. One of the most difficult ones. I found the Forgotten to be more difficult. I think Hydra's pretty easy these days as well, especially because like usually half the damage will kill her pretty quickly. It's a good fight. You have to like really position and run like in front for a bit, but it's not like nothing crazy. I'd say for Sirius, for me personally, I think he's probably somewhere between pretty easy and not easy. I put him, he's definitely below Maven and Cortex and Owl and stuff for me. It's a fight that you have to learn, but that is made a lot more difficult because you can't really replay the fight as often as you want, as easily as, let's say, a Zero or not, right? So you can't practice him too much, but Sirius is not a difficult fight. You can actually learn it pretty well and also gear against it pretty well. We got the Purifier. I think the Purifier is honestly not difficult these days. I have like 0 issues with him. You just like, all you have to really worry about is his like the way he shoots like the blaze or whatever. That's like kind of what you have to dodge mostly. And you can kind of like run around in circles and like kill him super fast as well. I think that's supposed to be the Constrictor, the Chaos Elder Guardian. He's also not very difficult. Never really had any issues with him. Elder, I think Elder is also pretty easy. I think Elder's super freaking easy. The low zone level as well doesn't help, but Elder, especially for the reward that you get from him, like potential botches eye with 2 mods, fight is pretty damn easy these days. I mean, it's probably like before these guys, but there's really not that much you have to like really be careful. Like the last phase of it, you have to like watch the circles, but the fight's pretty damn easy. And then there's also the Fire Elder Guardians. I think what's his name, the Incinerator. I don't know. He's pretty damn easy as well. Then there's the Eradicator. I think the Eradicator is definitely like a notch up from the other guys, kind of like the Minotaur. Eradicator can always like get you a bit if you like have bad sustain or whatever. If you rely too much on leech, if you're Val packed, he can sometimes get you because there's nothing to leech for between some of his attacks, right? And then there's Shaper. I think Shaper is like the hardest of these. He's like on par with Chayula. It's really hard for me to like actually screw up Shaper, but you have to play the mechanics and you have to play them decently well to not die. But he's not super difficult by any means. He's pretty easy these days. Like, maybe we have so much practice, but also the fight is not as complicated as some of the others. Then there's the Elder Guardian Invitation. The Twisted. It's called the Twisted. And the Twisted is... I think it's somewhere here. Kind of like where the Formed is as well. There's some stuff that can get you off guard. I feel it's like easier than the Formed. So if you go like from back to front to back, easy to hard. The Formed is definitely more difficult than the Twisted, but the Twisted is definitely more difficult than Shaper, but not by much. Could also be pretty easy. It's probably a bit more difficult than that. It's probably like somewhere here. Alright, Uber Elder. I think Uber Elder still holds up pretty well. I think for a lot of people the fight would be pretty hard. And you have to actually play it well and know the mechanics well. So I think is Uber Elder harder than Cirrus? Cirrus 8 especially. This is mostly for Cirrus 8. The other Cirruses are, they're like pretty easy, I feel. Is Uber Elder harder than Cirrus? That's a good question. Let's look at Veritania. I think Veritania is one of the easier conquerors. So probably put her down here with Hasmin. Maybe she's like a bit harder than Hasmin. Maybe she's like in this tier. And then Baran and Drox are definitely higher up. Always felt like she was super easy though. Like, attacks are very well telegraphed. Unless you like really... like just face tank her double wing flap, which is very well telegraphed in my opinion. She's like not a difficult fight. There's not really much you can screw up. You can if you're like not stun immune or whatever, don't have branking, you can get chain stunned by the pew barrage, but that's just playing bad or not respecting the boss if you do that. Yeah, I think Uber Elder is somewhere in the Cirrus range. I think they are pretty similar-ish in difficulty. I feel Maven is harder, maybe because I didn't have that much practice yet. But also I think I'm just bad in the memory game. There's always like a bit of personal opinion. This is like not the objective truth by any means. But I think that's my tier list. Yeah, these are the most difficult fights for me. The Forgotten, the Feared, Katarina because crappy visibility, and Ziri because she actually requires you to have good reactions and position really well. Cortex, lot less practice. Maven kind of as well for me. And the Reach Lords are actually pretty damn difficult, like, especially if you want to do them deathless. They are pretty mean, pretty nasty. Yeah, I think pretty happy with this tier as well. The Formed, the Twisted, Cirrus, Uber Elder, and then the Guardians. Also in this order, I would say, maybe like this. Maybe might be somewhere here. I think all definitely for me is more difficult, but then I don't have that much practice with him compared to the other ones. Yeah, Chayula I think is a bit more difficult, a bit harder, especially pure Chayula compared to Shaper. Then that's probably like this. And then we got these guys. Alright guys, if you like this video, like the video, leave a comment what you think is difficult, not difficult. Maybe I missed the boss that you think belongs into the current PoE endgame. I try to only include the boss that I deem somewhat relevant in the current context of PoE. Until then, I'm Yoji, and I will see you in the next one.